Hello, mathematicians. It's day 2 of our week and day 2 of our 3-day study about linear measurement. Just going to do a reminder of things that we're talking about this week. We're talking about measurement and the 3 types of measurement are linear measurement, and this is one example, length, how long something is, weight, the measure of how heavy an object is, and capacity, the amount of space an object fills, equals the volume. Now when we look at and talk about linear measurement, the 3 types of words that are used most often with that are length, height, and width. Length is how long something is, the distance from one end to the other. Width, the width is how wide something is, the distance across from side to side. Like there, it's kind of across the bowling alley. Length was the length of a football field. Or height is the measurement from top to bottom. Those are all linear measurements. The units of measurement, as we talked before, are inches, thinking of U.S. customary. That's the type of measurement that we use, the standards of measurement we use in the United States. Inch, 12 inches equals 1 foot. Foot, 1 foot equals 12 inches. And yard. 1 yard equals 36 inches or 3 feet. Remember, words for longer measurements in the U.S. customary style is mile. 1 mile equals 5,280 feet. Or meter, which is the metric system. It's the standard measurement from metric. Then you go to small ones and large ones. The meter is a metric unit for measuring length or distance. And there are centimeters, millimeters, and kilometers. Those are longer measurements, just so we have that vocabulary. Now, I did remember to bring my tools today, so I'm set to help us begin. I gotta sing. Gotta sing. Do you remember yesterday's? Okay, let's try. Weigh and measure, oh what fun, oh what fun, oh what fun. Weigh and measure, oh what fun, weigh and measure. Now the part of the song about linear measurement. Measure inches, measure feet, measure yards, oh how neat. Measure meters, measure miles, weigh and measure. Now, before we begin, I wanted to talk a little bit more about some tools. In your house, you might have something like this, a tape measure. Tape measures come in different lengths, but they still use standard measurements, like inches, feet, and yards. This measuring tool says 16, and then see the little line at the top right after the 6? That does not mean inches. A single line like that means foot or feet. So this is a 16-foot tape measure or a 16-feet tape measure. I've seen them for 25 feet and 50 feet and probably longer, but the only one that we have is a 16 and a 25. And they're wound inside, usually made of metal, so they can be used inside and outside. There's usually some kind of little button or side that you press, and it comes in, and then you pull this to measure. So if I wanted to measure these doors that are beside me, or the door behind me, remember you put your measuring tool at the beginning of the object, might be the bottom, might be the side, and then we measure up or along to find that bigger measurement that would be longer than a yardstick would be, or a ruler is. And then this is nice because you can freeze. See, this just stays hanging out. So I can remember, okay, I need to write down 37 inches or something like that. And then when I'm finished, I always get a little bit freaked out here. Okay, and so tape measure. Now, I don't know whether you know, but I'm a collector. I love stuff. I love to collect things, interesting things, and people say if you have two things, then you have a collection of those things. If that's true, then my collections number in the hundreds or maybe thousands, because I just like stuff. Things I find interesting. Now, I didn't realize this until I was teaching this unit, that apparently I have a collection of yardsticks. Can you see me through my yardsticks? These are the ones I could find. I think this is everything, but I think there's one more buried in the basement. And no one gets to ever see my basement. These are 4 different yardsticks, plus the ones at school, but these are my home yardsticks. And because they are standard measurement, they're all the same. If I put the beginnings of them here, the endings are still the same. Now, mostly now, people go buy a yardstick when they need it. And this one has interesting things. Like it says, it has all the inches, and then it stops here at 1/8, 1/4, 3/8. It gives us the fractions already, halfway. So if someone's looking at 1.5 yards, 1.25 yards, it's already here. That's helpful when you measure different things. Fabric, for example, we sometimes need those smaller measurements. That's here. I haven't seen it for a long time, but it used to be businesses would give you yardsticks as a promotion, as an advertisement. This one comes from Compton Lumber Company on 1st Avenue South in Seattle. It's yellow. It's to help people remember that company when they might need them. This yardstick comes from Pay and Pack, which is a home center, kind of like Lowe's and Eagle and Home Depot are. And it says here, the home you want, the help you need. They'll help you with that. On this side it says all the places where you can find those. That company isn't in business anymore. This one is my oldest one, and this one's from People's National Bank, and this is many years old. So yardsticks. Ask if you have a yardstick at your house, because when you start measuring with rulers like we did, sometimes you get enticed or interested to measure bigger things, like the distance from the doorway when you walk in the house, maybe all the way to the couch, or past the couch to the dining room table, or to your bedroom upstairs, or to the kitchen. Those are longer measurements, and you'd be measuring those in feet. You could measure them in inches. That's a lot of addition. Rulers we have. I have several kinds that I also have. This is a kind, it's a primary or kindergarten one. I added purple lines to make it 1/2 inches, but before I did that, it was just an inch ruler. But I wanted my students to be able to begin to see smaller measurements, so we have that added. Then, this is the typical type of ruler with lots and lots of those smaller fraction lines. So to help students recognize that in class, I put the purple on this one at the middle, at the 1/2 inch mark, but then we talk about what those other are, and those are 1/8 of an inch measurements. 8/8 makes 1 inch. That's another type of ruler. Back to promotion. Remember my thrift store story about the eyeball wreaths? I have a bunch of thrift store stories I should tell you sometime. This is a thrift store ruler. I was so excited when I found this because this is from a promotion in the 1960s. That was a while ago. And it advertises Wonder Bread. And Wonder Bread was a bread, and I think it's still made now, that was very popular when I was growing up. And their advertising line was, Wonder Bread helps build strong bodies 12 ways. Because of 12 of the ingredients were good for growing people. And so when I found this in a thrift store for a really good price, I immediately bought it because it reminded me of growing up and sandwiches my mom made and hearing about Wonder Bread on the TV. The other ruler I have I really treasure. This is a ruler that I purchased in New Zealand, which is in the Oceania, the continent that we're going to miss studying together. when we arrive in Oceania, I usually teach about the Sydney Opera House. I could still teach about that. I could still teach about that this way. So New Zealand is a country along with Australia and many other countries in Oceania. And because I really love wood and my husband really likes wood and works on it, we found this in a store as a souvenir. And what it is a souvenir ruler. Now, because we use U.S. customary, the letters in the middle are upside down because this is not the measuring type, the standard measurement that people use in New Zealand. They use the metric system. So the metric ruler measurements are at the top of this. These rulers don't have metric measurements. I think I have one that does. They just have U.S. customary. This has both U.S. customary and metric system. And then each of the places here, it's not quite at the inch mark. There is a type of wood that grows in New Zealand. So I've never seen anything like this. And as a traveler, traveling to another country, finding a tool I could use at home, and this is the one I use most often, I'm reminded of my trip. Souvenirs will do that. And then I get to see these beautiful woods. On the back, it tells us about the timber types, the names of each of the wood on this side. So, a little bit of tools and storytelling. Okay, let's get ready for today's work. Today's work looks like this. This page says, how long is it? And there's a picture of a cotton swab at the top. You'll need that one first. This one says, using a ruler to measure and mark length. That's different. And there's one of those rectangular prisms. You do need a ruler to do this. And if you don't have a ruler, there's one at the bottom you can cut off and use as your measuring tool. And then this one, using a ruler to measure and mark height. Remember, length goes this way, height goes this way. And so this also you need a ruler for. And if you don't have a ruler, there's a paper one at the bottom you can cut off. Ready to see how this goes? Okay. With this one's a little bit of a remembering from yesterday because there's the object, there's a swab, a kind of candy cane pole, a screwdriver, a match, a wooden match, which of course you only ask for adults' permission to look at or see or touch, a pencil, and a paintbrush. And what you can do with these, and I really advise doing both, they give you very helpful answer help right there. You can see there's a 3 written by the line, and the number 3, and then this time there are the words. So it says 3 inches long. We know from yesterday that the other symbol, and one I really advise you using, is after the 3. Please put those 2 lines. See, they're small, they're at the top. Not big, not the whole size of that 3, and not at the bottom, to do that. And then, as a double check, some people say mathematicians always check their work twice before they say what their answer is or tell what they're working on. And so I'm going to use my real ruler, check it against the paper ruler, because this is a different one, and then replace the paper ruler to show, yep, that swab is 3 inches long. Do that for each of the others. Remember the measuring unit. Afterward, you can color the pictures. I also think it'd be kind of cool to make a sound spelling sentence and write that sound spelling sentence right above the picture, because then you could point to the picture, like a labeling line, and you could write a simple sentence like, I have a swab, right? You probably have one in your house. This one might be, I do like to eat candy canes. My mom has a screwdriver. Or any sentence you want, just for extra writing practice. That's this page. Clear for everybody? Now the next page we start doing different work on. Cutting out the ruler carefully on the lines or right near the lines, And then what you do is you take the ruler. I'm going to use this one here. This says 3. The job is to, like if you were cutting for a project and you have a large piece of wood that you need to make smaller to build something with or to help fix something in the house, your parents would cut it. You're going to put the ruler right next to this rectangular prism, and then you see what the mark line is going to be at 3. I'm going to hold this way a bit. So I'm putting it right at the beginning, right? I'm not doing it at the side, I'm not doing it here because that would be an inaccurate measurement. And then, right here, I can see this whole rectangular prism is 6 inches long, but the directions are, we only need a 3-inch strip to fix the door. So I count here 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch, and then I put a small line there. And if you have this flat on the table, you could do the whole thing. Then you're going to just put a line up here to show that's the 3-inch mark. So if you were cutting this wood down for a smaller piece for a project, you would carefully put your saw there and saw across. The directions are to then color the part that you measured, 3 inches, and then you have that. Of course, you can make your own good brain power. If you wanted to later, when you're finished, cut that out, you could do that. Brain power. On another piece of paper, you could put them in size order, from biggest piece to next smallest, 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 or smallest to next tallest to next tallest, and then you have a row of cut pictures. You do that for each of these and following the directions. That 3 is missing something. Are we cutting at the 3-mile mark? Are we cutting at the 3-foot mark? We're cutting at the 3 inches mark. So you could write those 2 lines as the symbol, or you could write the abbreviation. Now the last paper, remember, had the word inches. That's good to see because it was there. You can copy that word over if you want to. Because people use measurements in different ways, people write the whole word the least amount of time. They write this abbreviation the second most time. The mostest way people write measurements is with those 2 lines because it's quick. Right there. Okay? Measuring with your ruler, drawing a line, coloring it, remembering to put the measurement there. Now you can do the cutting and making a picture. You could also use those pictures to make a picture, like build something with your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces. And while I'm here, I'm just going to remember, I didn't write today's date. My mistake. Today's date. And the other is just on the back I'm going to show you. If I was measuring feet with a yardstick or my measuring tape, the symbol I use is this. It's 1 line, just 1 line after the 4. That means 4 feet. Different from the inches symbol that you have up there. 4 feet. Okay? And then the last page, name and date on the paper. On this one, you're measuring heights. I'm going to switch my ruler. I'm going to use this fancy one. On this one, you're measuring tall, height, the top to bottom measurement. And the first one is 4. Again, you can use this or a ruler at your house. And then I'm going to do the same thing. Put the ruler right at the bottom, that exact spot, and then count up 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch, 4 inch, and make a line right there. And I'll pretend I'm a carpenter who needs a 4-inch piece of wood to finish that table so I could sell it. and then you're going to color that part in. Same thing later. You could cut these out and put them in size order. Big to small, tall to short, or short to tall. Or use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces to make a picture, add details, write a story, something interesting with that. Clear for everybody? Okay, so that is day 2 for our linear measurements. And then one more day of linear measurement, and that's tomorrow. Work carefully. Weigh and measure, oh what fun, oh what fun, oh what fun. Weigh and measure, oh what fun. Weigh and measure.